What's up guys, Burden here from addictgaming.com, and I am bringing you another Guild Wars 2 PvP guide, this time focusing on the warrior, using a greatsword and a sword shield. Basically, if you don't know, a warrior with a greatsword has a skill called 100 Blades, which can do 11 or 12,000 damage depending on who you're hitting. The only problem with 100 Blades is it's very difficult to hit people when they're not standing still. So as you see in our utilities, we have Bull's Charge, which will charge a person and knock them down for 2 seconds. And then even though they're knocked down for 2 seconds, it's hard to hit them because you'll only get about halfway through your 100 blades and then they can get up and move out of your way because you have to stay stationary with your 100 blades. So along with the Bull's Charge, we have Frenzy, which you gain quickness, and unfortunately you gain what's called Frenzy. You take 50% more damage. But what the quickness does, it lets you Bull Charge someone, and you put on your Frenzy and your 100 blades, and you can do your full cast without them moving or anything like that. But just remember that you're going to take 50% more damage, so once you finish, do a dodge or something like that, make sure nobody hits you. Along with the 100 blades in this build, we're doing Flurry, which is the sword shield's burst ability, which you immobilize your foe when you use it, and you do a flurry of bleeding strikes. So it really stacks a lot of bleeding on them, not to add on to your auto attack that also adds on a lot of bleeding. And well, your shield has a nice charge as well. It's almost like a Bull's Charge, but it's a much shorter range, but it does a 1-second stun. And you have Hamstring, which is your number 3, which is a cripple. It's an 8.5-second cripple. So you put this on someone, they're not going to get away from you. Not to mention, in our traits, we have a trait that makes us move faster while we're wielding melee weapons. And remember, when you're in trouble, use your number 5, which blocks all attacks for 3 seconds. So when you start with your greatsword, do your Bull's Rush and Frenzy, and then use your 100 blades, switch to your sword shield, and then do your attacks. And you can use your number 5 to wait for your cooldowns to come off, and you can switch back to your greatsword and start doing the same thing. Remember, you don't always have to use Bull's Rush and Frenzy for your 100 blades. If you can walk up behind someone and use 100 blades without them realizing it, then by all means do that. But if it's a one-on-one situation, or they know that you're there and they know that you're a 100 blades warrior, it's much harder to hit them. That's why you need Bull's Rush to stun them and Frenzy to increase the speed at which 100 blades goes off so you can actually hit them, because the last attack in 100 blades does a lot of extra damage, so you really want to get that off. And it's channeled, so make sure you don't move while that's happening either. So my heal is Mending. Heal yourself and cure 2 conditions. Now I don't have any other condition removal, so this is my only condition removal, which is probably a big weakness of the build, is there's not enough condition removal. But really, this build is just to kill people really quick, and then you'll probably die really quick too. I mean, there's no defense or anything in this build. I'm using the Berserker's Amulet right now, and I have 976 toughness. So if you can't handle a build like this that is just pure damage and very weak defensively, you can put in a Soldier's Amulet, and it'll give you a lot more defense, but it will decrease your damage. But maybe in group fights, that's a better situation. If you're just in random SPVP, then I don't think it's a problem to bring a Berserker's Amulet and just run around, killing people, because most people won't even recognize that you're 100 Blades Warrior before it's too late anyway. And for my elite skill, I'm using Signet of Rage, which the passive gives us more adrenaline, and we need adrenaline for the Flurry for our shield sword, for our sword shield, so that's good. But what is great is it gives us Might, Fury, and Swiftness for 30 seconds. I mean, that's a really, really long time to have Might, Fury, and Swiftness. Fury we don't need as much because our crit is already at about 42 to 47%. It doesn't hurt to have more crit, But I mean, 30 seconds of swiftness running, that's running around the map for 30 seconds really fast. And it's a 60-second cooldown, so basically it's only a 30-second cooldown, because out of those 30 seconds, or out of those 60 seconds, you have 30 seconds of these boons on you. So I looked at the skills, so let's go look at the traits real quick. For the traits, I have 20 in strength. My first major trait is Berserker's Power, which increases my damage based on how much adrenaline I have. I remember our elite skill is giving us extra adrenaline as a passive, so as that builds up, we're actually doing more damage. So stage 1, 3%, stage 2, 7%, stage 3, 12% more damage. And for the second major trait is Greatsword and Spear damage is increased by 10%. For arms, I took 20 points. I took Rending Strikes, 33% chance to cause vulnerability on critical hits. We'll be doing a lot of critical hits, and also we have other skills with our weapons that create vulnerability, so we could really stack vulnerability and add to our damage even more. And my second major trait is Forceful Greatsword. Gain might on a critical hit with the Greatsword or Spear. Greatsword and Spear skills recharge 20% faster, so that gives us a faster 100 blades and all the other abilities on our Greatsword. And then I took 30 points in Discipline. Run faster while wielding melee weapons, the Warrior Sprint, my first major trait. Sweet Revenge, the second major trait, 100% chance to rally if you kill someone while in vengeance. I mean, I can't tell you how many times per map I resurrect because I pop vengeance and I kill someone in a group battle. And on one-on-ones, it's 1 vs. 1s, it's very easy to just pop vengeance, finish someone off if they did end up killing you, and then you're back up. So I mean, I don't know, I love this ability. And then for my third major trait, I took Quick Burst. Burst skills recharge 20% faster. And because half of the build is based on Flurry from our sword shield, I mean, it just makes sense to get Quick Burst. For my runes, I'm using Rune of Divinity. I'm really stacking critical damage. I have 30 points in my trait line to give me 30% crit damage. And now from Rune of Divinity, I'm getting 12% more crit damage. And in my Berserker's Amulet, I'm getting 20% crit damage. So I'm actually at a total of 62% crit damage. So, I mean, that's a lot. So when I crit, I'm going to be doing huge crits, no matter the power I have. I mean, I have over 3,000 power as well. So this is very, very high attack, very high crit damage. But as you can see, my toughness is 976. So, yeah, I will be taking a lot of damage from attacks. For my sigil, I'm using Sigil of Superior Force, just straight out 5% more damage on my greatsword. On my sword, I'm using Superior Agony, which increases inflicted bleeding duration by 10%, and that's what Flurry does. It adds a lot of bleeding, and the auto attack adds a lot of bleeding as well. And the shield, I also put on Sigil of Superior Force, so 5% damage overall when I have my sword and I have my shield activated. So I want to show you why it's so important to have Frenzy in your builds, because you need that quickness when you do your 100 blades. And I can show you a quick example of how long 100 blades takes to actually channel all the way through. And remember, you want to get that last hit on 100 blades because that does a lot of extra damage. So you'll see why the Frenzy is very important, and the Bull's Charge is very important as well. So let me do 100 blades on this guy, and then you can see. Yeah, so you can see how long that actually takes me to do that. And anyone can just walk out of it because you can't move when you're doing 100 blades. So someone could just, all they have to do is take a step back and you're missing the whole time. So it's a waste of an ability. But if you have Bull's Charge and Frenzy, and then you do your 100 blades, I can show you how fast it actually goes off. And there's no way anyone's getting out of it. So let's check this out real quick. Yeah, I don't think anyone was gonna get out of that. So I mean, it's about a 2 second burst of 10,000, 11,000 damage. Nobody's getting out of that. So that was a heavy golem too, and I basically took it down in one burst of my abilities. So make sure, I know Frenzy kind of sucks because you take that much extra damage, but I mean, for me there's just no other way to do 100 Blades build. But not only 100 Blades, I'm doing the Flurry as well. So yeah guys, try this build out. I mean, I haven't been playing Warrior a lot, but this is the first build I made on a Warrior. I've actually been focusing on other classes. But I gotta say, when I hop into some random PvP, I mean, this build is so fun. So yeah, check it out. Tell me what you think. Leave a comment below and tell me if you have any suggestions or if you know any better way to do it. Make sure you check out our site at addictgaming.com, and we do more in-depth builds, more in-depth looks at the builds, and we do Guild Wars 2 guides, PvP, PvE, in dungeons, and all of that. And you can find other classes as well that maybe you're looking for. So check us out guys, and remember, video game addiction is not a bad thing, so please don't stop.